Milwaukee, a city known for its friendly people and bustling life, is often seen as a beacon of Midwestern charm and hospitality. Its vibrant neighborhoods, thriving art scene and rich history paint a picture of a community full of warmth and vitality. Yet beneath this inviting exterior, the city harbored a dark secret within its heart. Unbeknownst to its unsuspecting residents, a sinister presence lurked in the shadows, waiting to strike. A monster walked among them, cloaked in an unassuming facade. Jeffrey Lionel Dahmer, a name that would forever be etched in the annals of criminal history, was a man whose outward normalcy masked a horrifying reality. He was a wolf in sheep's clothing, a predator hiding in plain sight. His gruesome acts of murder, necrophilia and cannibalism shocked the nation and left an indelible scar on the city's psyche. Dahmer's heinous crimes were not just acts of violence, they were a chilling testament to the depths of human depravity. This is the chilling tale of the Milwaukee Cannibal, a journey into the depths of human depravity that will leave you questioning the very nature of good and evil. His crimes, committed between 1978 and 1991, were not merely acts of violence, but a perverse expression of his deepest, darkest desires. Dahmer was a master manipulator, luring young men into his web of horror with promises of companionship and alcohol. He preyed on the vulnerable, those who were looking for a friend, a confidant, or simply a good time. Little did they know they were stepping into a nightmare from which there was no escape. His apartment, a seemingly ordinary dwelling, became a house of horrors. The walls that should have echoed with laughter and life instead bore silent witness to unspeakable acts. The evidence collected from his home painted a gruesome picture of his twisted mind. Dahmer's method was chillingly calculated. He would approach his victims with a friendly demeanor, offering them drinks and companionship. In the dimly lit bars and streets of Milwaukee, he seemed like just another face in the crowd. But behind that facade was a predator waiting to ensnare his next victim. The terror his victims felt in their final moments is unimaginable, a nightmare from which there was no escape. This is the story of Jeffrey Dahmer, the Milwaukee Cannibal, and the dark legacy he left behind. Born in Wisconsin in 1960, Dahmer's early life was seemingly ordinary. Yet beneath the surface, there were subtle hints of the darkness that would later consume him. A fascination with dead animals, a growing sense of isolation, and a morbid curiosity about anatomy hinted at a troubled mind struggling to find its footing. As Dahmer grew older, his fascination with death intensified. He began to fantasize about control and domination, his thoughts taking a sinister turn. His desires, once hidden in the recesses of his mind, were slowly creeping to the surface, threatening to break free and unleash havoc upon the world. The year was 1978. Dahmer, just 18 years old, tasted blood for the first time. His victim, Stephen Hicks, a hitchhiker lured to Dahmer's home with the promise of beer and good company. This first kill, brutal and impulsive, set the stage for a horrifying spree that would span over a decade. After bludgeoning Hicks to death, Dahmer dismembered the body, scattering the remains in the woods behind his childhood home. This act, far from satiating his dark desires, ignited a fire within him, a hunger that could only be quelled by more death. As Dahmer's reign of terror continued, a chilling pattern emerged. He meticulously planned his attacks, often targeting young men, particularly those of color, who were marginalized and less likely to be missed. Dahmer would lure his victims back to his apartment, promising them money or a place to stay. Once inside, he would drug their drinks, rendering them helpless. It was then that the true horror of Dahmer's depravity would unfold. He would strangle his victims, often engaging in necrophilia and dismemberment after their deaths. His gruesome rituals, fueled by a twisted desire for control and a macabre fascination with the human body, became increasingly elaborate and horrific. Psychiatrists and criminal profilers have long sought to unravel the complex tapestry of factors that contributed to Dahmer's transformation into a monster. They meticulously analyze every aspect of his life, from his early childhood experiences to his final days, in an attempt to understand what drove him to commit such heinous acts. Some point to a potential genetic predisposition to mental illness, suggesting that there may have been an inherent flaw in his biological makeup that predisposed him to such extreme behavior, while others emphasize the impact of his troubled childhood and dysfunctional family dynamics. Growing up in a chaotic environment, with constant arguments and a lack of emotional support, may have significantly contributed to his psychological deterioration. The role of his burgeoning sexuality, which he struggled to understand and accept, added another layer of complexity to his already troubled psyche. Coupled with his deep-seated insecurities and feelings of inadequacy, cannot be ignored. These insecurities may have fueled his need to dominate and control others as a way to compensate for his own perceived weaknesses. It was as if Dahmer sought to possess his victims, to make them a part of himself in a twisted attempt to fill the void within him, to keep them close even in death. His acts of cannibalism, which shocked the world, were not just about the physical act of consuming flesh. A horrifying testament to his desire for ultimate control, a way to assert his dominance over his victims in the most intimate and irreversible manner, have been interpreted as a way for him to literally consume his victims, to make them an inseparable part of his being, making them a permanent part of him. This chilling need for possession and control is what ultimately defined Dahmer's horrific legacy, leaving a scar on the collective consciousness of society. The horror unfolds. Over the next 13 years, Dahmer's gruesome acts continued unabated. His apartment, a house of horrors hidden in plain sight, became a macabre testament to his crimes. Body parts were stored in freezers, skulls adorned his shelves, and the stench of decay permeated the air. Yet, despite the overwhelming evidence of his horrific deeds, Dahmer managed to evade capture time and time again. His victims, often transient or estranged from their families, were easily dismissed as missing persons, their disappearances rarely investigated with urgency. It seemed as if Dahmer had become a phantom, his crimes hidden in the shadows, his victims silenced forever. A city gripped by fear. As the body count rose, a palpable sense of fear began to grip the city of Milwaukee. Whispers of a serial killer on the loose spread like wildfire. The police, under mounting pressure to find the perpetrator, intensified their investigation. Yet, Dahmer, a master manipulator with a chilling ability to blend into society, remained elusive. His neighbors, oblivious to the horrors unfolding within the walls of his apartment, described him as quiet and unassuming. Little did they know that the man they exchanged pleasantries with in the hallway was a monster who preyed on the innocent. Behind bars and facing justice. In July 1991, Dahmer's reign of terror finally came to an end. His last intended victim, Tracy Edwards, managed to escape from Dahmer's apartment and flagged down police. The officers, initially skeptical of Edwards' story, agreed to investigate. What they discovered inside Dahmer's apartment would shock even the most seasoned detectives. The gruesome evidence was overwhelming. Photographs of his victims, body parts stored in various states of decomposition, and tools of his grisly trade painted a horrifying picture of Dahmer's depravity. The nation was left reeling, aghast at the sheer brutality of his crimes. Legacy of a monster. Dahmer's trial was a media spectacle, the world watching in horror as the details of his crimes were laid bare. The courtroom was packed with journalists, sketch artists and onlookers, all eager to catch a glimpse of the man who had committed such heinous acts. The media frenzy was unprecedented, with every gruesome detail being broadcasted to a shocked and horrified public. He was ultimately found guilty on 15 counts of murder and sentenced to 15 consecutive life terms. The judge's gavel came down with a sense of finality, sealing Dahmer's fate. The courtroom erupted in a mix of relief and sorrow as the families of the victims grappled with the reality that justice had been served, yet their loved ones were gone forever. While in prison, Dahmer expressed remorse for his actions, acknowledging the pain and suffering he had inflicted on his victims and their families. He spent his days in isolation, reflecting on his crimes and writing letters of apology. Yet for many, his remorse was seen as insincere, a desperate attempt to find redemption in the face of overwhelming guilt. However, his words rang hollow for many, a too little, too late attempt to atone for the unimaginable horrors he had unleashed. The families of the victims were left to pick up the pieces of their shattered lives, haunted by the memories of their loved ones and the brutal manner in which they were taken from them. In 1994, Dahmer was killed by a fellow inmate, bringing his reign of terror to a definitive end. His death was met with mixed reactions. Some saw it as a fitting end for a man who had caused so much pain, while others felt it was too swift a justice for the atrocities he had committed. The legacy of Jeffrey Dahmer continues to haunt us today, a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurks beneath the surface of humanity. His story is a stark illustration of how evil can manifest in the most unsuspecting of places and how the facade of normalcy can hide the most sinister of intentions. His case serves as a stark warning, urging us to remain vigilant, to look beyond the facade and to never forget the victims whose lives were tragically cut short by the Milwaukee Cannibal. The memorials and vigils held in their honor serve as a poignant reminder of the human cost of Dahmer's actions and the enduring impact of his crimes on the community and the world at large.